Is the best way to then go about it, starting with the end in mind, because all of those things point to, I want to live a more fulfilled life. I want to be happy. I want to be fulfilled. Whatever the hell that might mean. And happiness, right, means different things to different people. So Ryan doesn't think we could ever come up with a working definition.
Yeah.
So it's a fool's errand.
I think he's right, because I don't even know if we honestly need I think it may be more harmful than helpful for us to try to say this is exactly what it is, because it means so many different things for different people. But I'll give you my answer. Work-life balance is a combination of flexibility and being able to have that integration. Like, those things are really important for me. So because I've worked at corporations, they usually have workout classes over lunch. Like, they're free, or you pay like a nominal fee, and that's what a lot of people in the company, it's usually a few lawyers, but a lot of people in the company, it's encouraged from a mental health standpoint, from a physical health standpoint, to work out. I want to be able to work out at least once a week at lunch. It's one class I want to take. Usually I take them in the evening, but I want to be able to do that without someone saying, oh, no, you can never. You always have to, be sitting at your desk for lunch. That's not actually, at my company, it's you go to lunch with people. That's usually the concept. But to me, that's flexibility. I'm very involved in the legal community. I want to be able to say, hey, I have this 6 o'clock MBA meeting, and I'm going to walk around the block to the MBA to, conduct this meeting or be part of this meeting. And I want to be able to do that. That's the flexibility. That's part of my professional life. Those are things I want to do as a volunteer. I think I should be doing as a lawyer, but also things that make me happy, like working out, and, it's good for my mental health. So it's flexibility and this integration to where I am my full self, who cares about XYZ, but also as a professional, you're not saying I need to be working 9 to 5, because sometimes I work 9 to 7. Sometimes I work, 8 to whatever, 7. It changes every day depending on your workload. So I need that flexibility.
Yeah, I think flexibility and choice, if we're going to put big tenets over it. And for me, this really does start straddling the line between work-life balance and well-being and mental health. I think of work-life balance as stepping away from what I feel like I should be doing, or what I think this imaginary boss on my shoulder is saying you should be billing your time. And I don't know if we should. The billable hour could be a whole podcast episode.
Yes.
And I think that plays a huge role for anyone that does have to bill their time. But it is letting go of that feeling of I should be working during these hours, and actually I have the power to choose how I spend my time and what I'm doing, as long as I'm getting the work done. I think so, flexibility and choice.
So I know you guys don't want this, but it looks like we have some concepts to work with,
true.
because it's going to drive me crazy as a litigator if I don't understand. I'm like, Judge, we got to define certain things here. What exactly are we talking about? So I've heard concepts of flexibility, integration, well-being, choice, and overarching all of this is the idea that it's a very individualized conversation, right? Just a little segue though. Doesn't this also, when you talk, let's take flexibility for example, Kristen. Isn't there an assumption that every attorney at every part in their careers can manage that flexibility and still be productive? There's a presumption that people and everyone,
maybe it's
without any structure. What? I'm sorry?
Maybe it's a rebuttable presumption.
Okay, a rebuttable presumption. All right. Okay. Well, yeah. Nicely paid, counsel. You shut that one down. That in its tracks.
And is that presumption coming from a podcast host or an employer,
right,
or an associate at a big?
No.
Right.
So I'm just saying, right? So day one, right? You have day one. You have a young lawyer coming in to the profession and says, hey, all right, I want to be a litigator, but I'm going to have to work 3.5 days at home, right? Because I need that flexibility, right? And in any employee context, right, there is the idea that I need to also know what you can do with freedom, right? You have to, And what I'm seeing right now when this conversation is being had is like, this is a presumption. You have to give me, and this is just an example, extreme example, but these are my list of demands. This is what you have to do. This is what you have to adapt, because the very individualized nature of the conversation makes it hard to create systems, because it means different things for different people. So because it's individualized, there is a risk that some people will be left out. And from an employer standpoint, from a system standpoint, how do you create general systems that tackle a very individualized issue?
Well, first, this is funny because, and maybe we'll get to this a little bit later when we talk about those generational differences, but you don't have that agency, or most young lawyers don't feel like they have that agency when they come in to start making demands about what they will and won't do. When I first started working, I worked at an international company, and this was not because the boss was putting this on me. This is me. This is Kristen. Where I would answer an email, I'm still kind of like this. I'll answer an email at any time. It's 2 a.m, which is very common in an international company. Someone's awake. Oh yeah, no, I can get on the computer. I'm up, so I can get on the computer and do X, Y, Z. And I set that expectation to where you could get to me no matter what. No one else did that. That was all me, because I thought that was the way that I needed to work, and I like work, and I didn't mind if I wasn't doing anything. So yes, one could say you can make this list of demands and we can, but realistically, you're a type A, you went to law school. That is not how you're coming in the game. And also you're too afraid that, we've been pitting each other against ourselves, or the system has pitted us against each other during law school, that I have to do X, Y, Z because I want to be partner, or I have to do X, Y, Z because I want to be the GC. Like, you already know that. So you don't have that autonomy. It's interesting you talk about it as if it's a choice, because I'm not so sure that it is. And before you start, you talked about generalizing the system. I don't think you need to generalize the system. I know that makes it easier for you as an employer, but you have employees, figure it out. You should be able to talk to your employees and say, what do you need? How can I help you? That's what a good manager, a good boss does. They figure out within these parameters what makes the most sense for my individual employee.
I agree with you on I run a small shop. I can do that. I can sit down. I got 9 people. I can sit down every day and figure out what these 9 people want.
Yeah.
How does that look like when you're running a law firm that has 300, 400 lawyers, or a firm that has 50, 60 lawyers across different states and all that stuff, and you have support staff as well? Because that's also a different conversation too. We bring in the support staff element to it. So we're just focusing on lawyers. Ryan, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, just to first get on the record that I was in Emil's first interview, and he did not come in saying that. In fact, he said the exact opposite thing.
Of course he did.
I can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can count on me. And then he was just really happy that we were going to pay him.
Yep.
But I do see some more of that, especially among potential laterals, and maybe in California a lot more than other states. Is that there is I've got this other life and I'm willing to help out, kind of more on a flexible part-time basis, and typically that's not what we're looking for. But I do see it more now. I will say, as far as setting policies that are kind of across the board,
I think we're getting into the second half of the show, huh?
Yeah, there is a temptation. You, as an employer, you want to have a policy. You got this book that's this is my handbook. It's got all these policies in it. We apply it. We're trying to call balls and strikes and do everything, treat everyone the same or equally, whatever. How can we make all these different accommodations? And I think that, I can say that we do have different policies for whether you're an attorney or whether you're staff, and so you can be a little bit more flexible maybe with the way that your attorney policies are, and maybe you have a little bit more room to be creative, or even more flexible maybe with your staff who are typically non-billable, setting aside maybe paralegals. But so what some of the things that we've done is nothing new. It's what people are doing. Is allowing a lot more flexibility, the flex time for both attorneys and staff, the ability to work from home. Although we're not, I know there are law firms out there who are fully embracing the virtual law firm. And,
We are.
And
Really?
that's really awesome. And I'd love to hear about it. We're not there yet. And so right now we're saying, well, the staff can do, a day at home, but we really got to work these schedules out because we do need people in the office to do these tasks. And sometimes you find yourself shorthanded. And